This is a slavey Indian from the Yellowknife region of Canada. This is a Niska Indian of the Tsimshan Nation. This is a full-blooded Gitshan Indian. And this is the fourth member of this unusual group. Listen. Actually, there's a fifth member of the group, and he is our first guest on To Tell the Truth. What is your name, please?
My name is Vincent Clifford.
What is your name, please?
My name is Vincent Clifford.
What is your name, please?
My name is Vincent Clifford.
Only one of these young men is the real Vincent Clifford. The other two are imposters and will try to fool this panel. Tom Poston, Peggy Cass, Orson Bean, and Kitty Carlisle on To Tell the Truth. And now, here's our host on To Tell the Truth, Bud Collier.
Thank you very much. Welcome once again to Tell the Truth. Good evening, Donald.
Good evening, Bud.
In front of you, you'll find an envelope, and I think you'll find a story in it. It'll be very interesting to you. If you follow along, I'll read from my copy. I, Vincent Clifford, am a full-blooded Indian and hereditary chief of my tribe. About 2 years ago, 4 Indian friends and I were picked by authorities at our school to form a singing group. We sounded so good, we decided to turn professional. For the past 2 years, we have been touring the country, playing supper clubs, theaters, and college campuses. We perform all types of music, westerns, spirituals, folk, and rock and roll. We also sing in 3 foreign languages and, of course, in various Indian dialects. We write many of our own songs. We call our group the Chief Tones. Signed, Vincent Clifford. Questioning, if you may, with Peggy Cass. Peggy?
Number 2, who does the vocals in your group?
Well, there's 2 of us that do the vocals.
Number 3, are you a Canadian Indian?
Well, I'm known as a North American Indian.
Are you from Canada, number 3?
Oh, yeah, I live in Canada.
Thank you. Number 1, where are the Micmac Indians from?
Nova Scotia.
Thank you. Number 2, and the group called the Mamas and the Papas. What's the name of the big girl that's a great singer?
Cass Elliot?
Thank you. Number...
Orson Bean.
Yeah. Number 3, there's a Indian girl who's a famous folk singer. Do you know her name? I'll give you a hint. Her initials are... No. Buffy.
No,
I'm talking about Buffy.
Yeah, I know who you're speaking of. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, all right. Buffy St. Marie. She's swell. Number 1, who invented the term or makes that kind of music called folk rock?
Folk rock?
Yeah.
Well, that I don't know. A lot of people made it, and they made it into a rock and roll.
Yeah. All right. Well, number 2 now. In the old days,
Kitty Carlisle.
you could really have a few...
What tribe are you from?
The Micmacs.
Oh, you are a Micmac. Oh, that's interesting. Number 2, what are the Nez Perce?
Yes, Pierce is a tribe from up Canada.
Ah, you know them. Number 3, who books you?
Booking agent from out of Chicago. William
what?
Morris.
Huh?
William Morris Agency.
Oh, thank you.
Tom Poston.
Okay, who books you, number 2?
William Morris Agency.
Oh, okay. Number 3, when the Signal Corps in last World War and in Korea, they used Indians and with a dialect to send messages that couldn't be intercepted by the Japanese, for instance. Do you know the name of that dialect?
No.
Do you
Sorry,
remember?
I don't.
You remember what I mean? Number 2, they would have an Indian on each end of a call.
Navajo.
Thank you. Number 1,
And that's all, I'm sorry to say. Didn't have much time as we might have had, but there are more things to happen and to do. So now, the thing to do is to vote. Mark your ballots, if you will, please, without any consultation and without change. Vote for the one you think is the real one and select number 1, number 2, or number 3. Team of challengers will, of course, receive $250 for each incorrect vote. Are your ballots all marked?
Yeah.
Good. Tom, for whom did you vote?
I voted for number 3, Bud, for a reason that he looked like the fourth man in the band up there. And I figured maybe they were brothers or... So I voted for him.
Peggy Cass.
Oh, I voted for number 1 because the Micmacs are from Nova Scotia.
Orson.
I couldn't vote for 1 because he didn't know that Bob Dylan invented folk rock. I couldn't vote for 3 because he didn't know Buffy St. Marie, and there ain't that many Indians in show business. Jay Silverhills. Married an Italian girl to get back at Columbus, he said. I voted for number 2 because it seemed to me he knew everything. I'm amazed everybody didn't vote for him.
Kitty Carlisle.
I voted for number 2. I liked his music, and he looked as though he might be the vocalist in the band.
So, there we have it. The votes are in, and the minds are made up, as you heard. Now let's find out which of these 3 gentlemen, in truth, is Vincent Clifford. Will the real Vincent Clifford please stand up? The Chieftones have consented to perform for the first time on national television by singing one of their newest record releases. So here are Albert Canadian, Jack Cecil, Vincent's brother Barry Clifford, Richard Dowse, and Vincent singing Do Lord.
I've got a home in lowland that outshines the sun. I've got a home in lowland that outshines the sun. I've got a home in lowland that outshines the sun. Look away beyond the blue. Do Lord, oh do Lord, oh do remember me, oh Lord, oh do Lord, oh do Lord, oh do remember me. Do Lord, oh do Lord, oh do remember me. Look away beyond the blue. The Lord is my shepherd and I shall not want. The Lord is my shepherd and I shall not want. The Lord is my shepherd and I shall not want. Look away beyond the blue. Do Lord, oh do Lord, oh do remember me, oh Lord, oh do Lord, oh do Lord, oh do remember me. Do Lord, oh do Lord, oh do remember me. Look away beyond the blue. Look away beyond the blue. Look away beyond the blue.
We want to thank the Club Angel in Fort Wayne, Indiana, for releasing the Chieftones so they could be with us tonight. We're very grateful. We wouldn't have missed that for the world. Much success to you. Number 1, what is your real name and what do you really do?
My name is Alex Hartwell, and I'm attendant animal watcher at the Children's Zoo in Central Park, New York.
And number 2, what is your real name and what do you do, sir?
My name is Dancing Eagle, and I install fire detection systems.
Well, we thank you all very much, and you did extremely well. There were 3 incorrect votes that you induced the panel to cast, and that means 3 times $250 for a grand total of $750. Gentlemen, thank you for being with us. Good night, and God bless you. We'll meet our next team of challengers in just a minute, right after this message. And now let's meet our next team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Fred Gerner.
My name is Fred Gerner.
My name is Fred Gerner.
Follow along again while I read from my copy, if you will, panel. I, Fred Gerner, for over 6 years have been working on one of the most baffling stories of the 20th century, the disappearance of Amelia Earhart. Amelia Earhart was the embodiment of the emancipated woman of the 1930s. She was an expert pilot, and the imagination of the world was fired by her record-breaking flights, as well as the charm and modesty with which she accepted their adulation. On July 1st, 1937, she and her co-pilot Fred Noonan closed the hatch of their Lockheed Electra, took off on a flight around the world, and disappeared forever. To try and solve this 30-year-old mystery, I have made 4 trips to the South Pacific and questioned over 4,000 people. In spite of enormous resistance to my investigations, I have reached the following conclusions. Amelia Earhart and her co-pilot were on a reconnaissance mission for the United States military. They were captured by the Japanese, and they died on the island of Saipan. The facts surrounding their disappearance and death constitute one of the best-kept military secrets in history. In my opinion, Amelia Earhart and Fred Noonan were the first American casualties of World War II. Signed, Fred Gerner. As most of you already know, Fred Gerner has summarized his findings in a recently published best-selling book called The Search for Amelia Earhart. We start the cross-examination with Kitty Carlisle. Kitty?
Thank you, Bud. It's a fascinating story, and it's true. Miss Earhart has really captured people's imaginations because she was such a charmer. Number 3, how did you start this follow-through of the flight? Where did you begin?
Very simply, trying to gather some information on a follow-up from a radio broadcast that I made involving some of the news work.
Number 2, how do you explain this?
Well,
Where did you pick up the clues?
the clues were picked up largely in Saipan, because that's where we first went.
Number 1, why were the Japanese... we were not at war then, were we?
4 years before the war.
And why would they then do this?
Japan had been preparing the mandated islands of the Pacific for the coming conflict for nearly 15 years before the disappearance.
Thank you. Number 3, did you travel the same...
Tom Poston. I'm sorry, Kitty.
Number 3, those mandated... Is Saipan one of those mandated islands?
Yes, it is.
Isn't it pretty far down south in the Pacific where Miss Earhart disappeared, to be under the Japanese sphere?
Just about central West Pacific, over in the Marianas and Carolines.
Oh, number 2, was that in any sense under the Japanese sphere of influence? Were they out of line to be down that far? At that time, I mean.
They went right into it.
Oh, number 1, did the Japanese have any objections to normal reconnaissance over those areas?
The islands have been closed from the early 1920s on.
And they were Japanese mandated islands?
That's correct.
Now I understand for the first time. Number 3, was it possible that she ran out of fuel? Why do you insist that she had to be on land when she stopped?
She did run out. We suspect through all the investigation that we made that she did run out of fuel and tried to beach the plane, and was picked up later by a trawler.
Peggy Cass.
Thank you. Well, number 2, have you questioned the Department of War of the government? Will they admit anything?
They have tried again and again and again, but come up with negative answers almost every time.
Well, thank you. With number 1, you must have gone to Japan too to ask people there. Do they give you negative answers as well?
We've had representatives in Japan asking questions, but the door has been closed every time Amelia's name was mentioned.
Oh, well, number 3, when did the Marines invade Saipan?
1944.
So that was a 7-year difference from when she disappeared. Well, were there any people there that said that there had been a white woman and man who had been executed?
Yes, we've got 39 eyewitnesses that I've interviewed.
Oh, my. Well, why doesn't the government admit it?
Orson Bean.
Number 3, eyewitnesses to an execution, but not necessarily hers, right?
No, they didn't. Not eyewitnesses to the execution. Eyewitnesses to the fact that there were 2 flyers there on Saipan.
Number 1, I've read things in magazines about you or by you. Didn't you have some red herrings that you followed? Like, didn't you dig up some bones you thought were hers that it later turns out weren't?
We had a number of disappointments during the investigation.
Number 2, do you really believe that there's a massive campaign to keep information hidden on this by 2 nations about something that happened many years ago?
That's partly it.
Why do you think they're doing this, both countries?
I think well, you have to go to Washington for that.
Well, number 3, do you have an opinion as to why this... it seems absurd that everybody would be working to keep this thing hidden.
I agree completely.
Yeah?
However, I think there's so many political overtones from both countries that it was forced to be kept quiet.
Why? Because
Sorry to say, that's all the time we had. This is one we could take a whole half hour for. It's a fascinating story. So will you please mark your ballots immediately, without wasting any time, without any consultation, and without changing once you have marked. Vote now for number 1, number 2,
What is it, Miss Peggy?
or number
There it
3?
No, I don't have a little whatchamacallit to write what I think.
Write it
Don't
on
have a
Game
whatchamacallit. Write it on anything. We'll count it on a piece of
Sorry, dear,
paper.
I had it.
He had it. He
Oh,
always
he
has
did.
it.
All right. I won't call that consultation. Just mark your ballots, if you will.
I don't want to know how she votes anyway.
All ballots marked?
No, I'm
No?
all confused now.
That's it.
Oh, no excuses.
You had them for spite.
Tom, let's break this up. For whom did you vote?
Well, I voted for number 3. He said I agree when Orson said it seemed like such a lot of nonsense to hide it. I wish we could find out for sure. It would be very interesting, and this is a great spot.
Peggy.
Well, I voted for 2 because he said, that, you'd have to go to Washington. Obviously, he's been to Washington many times and wouldn't get any satisfaction, so he said Orson there.
Orson, for whom did you vote?
If it weren't for the money, I wouldn't stay here. I voted for number 3. I think he looks like an author. And, have that kind of... Those are clouds, but Peggy hit my arm and they didn't come out too well.
Your 3 is heading for a crash landing?
Oh, well, I don't like to bring that over.
Kitty.
I voted for number 3. They all look like authors to me. But number 3 looks like the kind of a guy that would follow this story, as if it were sort of a mystery. And I can't wait to find out what he finds out.
Very well, the votes are all in and the minds are made up, as you heard. Now, let's find out which one of these 3 gentlemen, in truth, is Fred Gerner. Will the real Fred Gerner please stand up? Our friends in San Francisco already know that Fred Gerner is a busy and highly respected radio and television news reporter for KCBS. Right. And it's a fascinating
And I interviewed Tom about 6 years ago, and I was hoping that he wouldn't recognize me because he was appearing at the Melodyland Theater at that time.
Well, he didn't recognize you, so it came out very well.
What time of day was it, Fred?
You're excused. It was before noon.
Much success with your book. It's a fascinating book. Number 2, what is your real name and what do you really do? Number 2.
My name is Gordon McGregor. I'm the New York representative for the chemical division of Mobil Oil.
Thank you, sir. And number 3, what is your real name and what do you do, sir?
I'm Larry Kavanaugh, and I'm the sales manager for State Mutual Life Assurance Company.
Checking the score, we find that they were all incorrect votes. That's 4 times $250 or $1,000, gentlemen. A good victory indeed. Thank you for being with us. Good night, and God bless you. We'll be back with our next team and play another game in a minute, but now listen to this. And now let's meet our 3rd team of challengers.
What is your name, please?
My name is Walter Minton.
My name is Walter Minton. My name is Walter Minton.
Follow along again, if you will, please, panel. I, Walter Minton, am the publisher of a very posh appointment book. It includes not only the normal daily diary, but also vital information for the rich, the near-rich, and the would-be rich, such as where to buy a bulletproof vest, how much it costs to illuminate the Eiffel Tower for your friends, where to find a doctor in Rome who specializes in curing hangovers, and how to pick up a game of polo. The monthly calendar lists worldwide events no one would want to miss. Among others, the opening of the sumo wrestling season in Japan, and the date of the Zulu Folk Dance Festival in Natal. I have called my syllabus for the smart set, The Millionaire's Diary. Signed, Walter Minton. Panel, now we bring you 3 gentlemen all claiming to be Walter Minton. We'll start with Orson Bean. Orson?
Thank you. Well, gee, I'm kind of against it a little bit because number 3, say, a rich guy probably knows where the folk festival is. But now your book is out, he's apt to look next to him and some bum is sitting there picking his teeth, and it ruins it for him. Isn't it kind of a shame that you're giving the information out?
Well, we feel that everyone that is poor likes to think rich.
Yeah. Well, number two, people, in other words, obviously you can't, my light keeps going out here. Well,
Mine too.
a nickel's worth of electricity, they won't go for it. Number two, surely there aren't enough rich people.
You wasted that time on the light.
He's too confused about the illumination.
Kitty.
Number three, I'd like to know exactly how much it costs to illuminate the Eiffel Tower for a private party.
166 francs.
Is that all?
That's all. Strange.
That's new
Very
francs.
low.
But even so, it's an absolute, it's picayune.
I do it all the time.
Number two, why on earth would there be a Zulu folk dance festival in Natal? Because Natal has nothing to do with Zulus.
Oh, I believe the Zulus are found in Natal. I think this is where they're native.
Oh, no. Very, very misleading. Number one, how much does your diary cost?
$25.
$25. 25 pounds is published in England?
It is published in
Tom Poston.
Well, number two, where's yours published?
It's published in London, and it's also published in New York.
Okay, number two, where is Natal?
It's in southwest Africa.
Okay, number three, where do the Zulus live?
Southwest North Africa.
What?
Okay, number one, you have hints for the nouveau riche here. Do you have any hints for the old poor? I have. Well, do you have any things that people who aren't necessarily rich could make use of?
Oh, I would say the best thing to do is buy the book. Without a doubt.
Oh, that sounds like a man from...
Peggy Cat.
I'm thrilled. I got one for Christmas. Gee, 25 bucks. I'm really impressed. Number one, what color is it? What color is your book?
It's in two leathers, black and red.
Thank you. Number two, do you have instructions in the book as how to join a hunt club, say you want to go hunting over in Ireland? How does one do that?
I don't remember actually in Ireland. I believe that there are various instructions for various clubs that one would want to call in passing through.
They always pull the bell on you.
I know, it's a dirty
something
trick,
about
isn't it? That's all the time we have, however, so please mark your ballots, if you will. Mark them at once, without change, without consultation. Vote. And vote for number one,
25 pounds.
number two, or number three. Ballots all marked? Not yet, I see. All right, they're marked now. So, Tom, for whom did you vote?
I voted for number two. I think the Boers had a lot of trouble with the Zulus, or vice versa, I guess I should say. And I think it was Southwest Africa, or Western Southern Africa, or something.
Well, number one said that book was 25 pounds, and I know he never spent 25 pounds on that book, so $25, I believe he spent. I voted for two. The man who gave me the book for Christmas.
Oh, I see.
That's
Orson.
right.
All three are walking compendiums of misinformation. However, I had to vote for somebody, and I voted for three because he has a kind face.
Kitty.
Of course, Peggy's right. It couldn't have cost 25 pounds. It must have been $25, but I didn't listen carefully enough. And I thought number one looked like that kind of businessman who would be to put out a book like that.
All right. There we have it, with the minds made up and the reasons given and the voting in. Let's find out now which of these three gentlemen, in truth, is Walter Minton. Will the real Walter Minton please stand up? Thank you, sir. Incidentally, Walter Minton is the president of the publishing house G.P. Putnam Sons.
Oh.
Number one, would you tell us your real name and what you really do?
My real name is John Buglass. I'm an account executive with an insurance brokerage firm of Johnson & Higgins in New York.
Thank you. And number three, what do you really do and what is your real name?
I am the Commissioner of Commerce for the state of Tennessee. And to tell the truth, my name is Ralph Waldo Emerson.
Taking a stroll, finally, were two incorrect votes. That's twice $250 for a grand total of $500. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us. Hope you enjoyed it. Goodbye, and God bless you. We'll be back in a minute, but right now, this important message. That's all we have time for. Good night, panel. Good night to you all. And don't you forget to stay tuned or I've got a secret. Bye.
To Tell the Truth is a Mark Goodson, Bill Poston production. Carlisle's Best by Bill Black. Johnny Olson speaking. This program pre-recorded. To Tell the Truth was brought to you tonight by General Foods, makers of Hot Choice Burger for Dogs, and Awake, frozen breakfast orange concentrate.